8 to 12 million professional content creators worldwide, depending upon how professional is defined. Roughly 200 to 300 million people identify as content creators globally in 2026. Holy shit, man. Holy shit.
Are they making money? Are they
Right.
not?
Yeah,
Are they
this
just
seems
kids,
relatively
or-
like it got the gist, though.
Yeah, I got it. It
yeah.
wasn't a problem, Jamie. You were pessimistic.
No, but we don't have an answer.
No,
We have
it's
a-
right.
Well,
Eight
it's given
to
us
300 million.
rough data. The rough data is 8 to 12 million professional content creators. 200, 300 million people identify as content creators. So out of those, which kind of makes sense that, you know, a small percentage of them are going to be able to figure out how to make a living entirely off of it. One analyst estimates that about 4% of creators are professional, meaning they treat content creation as their main job and earn a full-time living. So that makes sense.
Yeah.
That seems about right. And that's about right with kind of a lot of things.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of people try it, and a small amount of people actually, like if you think about how many people, if you go to an open mic night in stand-up comedy, and how many people are actively participating in open mic nights where they visit one or two open mics a week, and how many will eventually become professional stand-up comedians and make a living off of it, you're probably in the same range of like 4% or something like that. Probably less.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
But the interesting part is that number is going to keep skyrocketing year over year. I don't see any signs that any of this stuff is slowing down. And so,
especially if people see that this is a real path. This isn't a pie in the sky dream. There's a lot of.
I mean, at this point, if they don't see it, then I mean, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, I'm literally spending hundreds of millions of dollars a year, or investing hundreds of millions of dollars a year into content. And so, I mean, it shows what the upper bounds look like.
Well, you're really wise in that regard, is that you spend so much money dumping it back into the business. And by doing that, your content is just so much more advanced than anybody else's. And that's such a big risk, because a lot of people would say, I'm making all this money. Who knows when this is going to end? Let me squirrel this away and make sure that I've got money saved up forever. You just like, fuck it. Let's just spend it.
Let's go hard. Well, it's what I used to call the creators would back in the day reach like 5 million subscribers, and then it was a real inflection point that I would notice where they'd either keep growing or that's where they'd start to teeter off, because it's around the time where they'd start to make good money. And it's either like, okay, now they have a house, they have a car paid off, and like the ones that were really money motivated, they kind of got that security. And so that burning fire that was pushing them to do crazy things, like kind of started to die off. And like, it's like the Fermi paradox. Like for quite a few people, it's around that range is where you see like your favorite creators start to get lazy, upload less, not put as much effort and not care as much. And so, but yeah, I never really had any of that. I just like, you know, I mean, like I probably talked about last time we were on here, I used to live in an apartment that I would share that was $720 a month. So like $360 rent. And I drove a 2006 Dodge Durango that cost a couple $1,000, and I just didn't have any liabilities. So I was just like, screw it. I'll just keep my lifestyle cheap so I can just reinvest it all. And, you know.
God, but that's so wise. Most people don't do that. And most people don't have the discipline to work as much as you do.
Well, and the harder part, too, is when you have the pressure of your parents and stuff. And I don't know, I'm weird. Like when my mom would, I mean, as sad as it sounds, like she would literally cry sometimes and be like, man, I'm just so worried you're going to lose everything. Like, what if these videos stop getting views? And I don't know what would come over me, but I'd be like, it'll be fine, Mom. Don't worry. And I just like very calmly just say it to her. I wouldn't argue with her. I'd be like, just have faith. Like,
well, you were right.
I know, and we're great now.
But it's up to parents. Parents always worry about their kids.
Exactly. So I don't think it's like she was doing anything wrong. By all purposes, like she was doing the right thing. It's just so you also have to overcome that pressure as well, because there's so many forces around you where even if you believe in yourself, all it takes is one person like saying something like that puts self-doubt in you, and then you're like, okay, you know. But that's where I'm a big believer. If you really want it, just keep your liabilities low, like live below your means, and that way it's like, you know, it's a little easier to be riskier if you aren't, you know, have all these things you got to afford, because what really changes if you fail?
That's definitely smart. But there's something happens also to people where just the constant grind of work, it diminishes their enthusiasm and they lose their perspective. They lose this perspective of, God, you're so fortunate to be able to do this.
Yeah.
You're so fortunate.
Exactly.
And people just get really complacent. It's so easy for people to just forget how fortunate they are to be able to do what they're doing.
Yeah.
And
I'll admit it. Sometimes I get hit with that where, you know, it'll be a late day of shooting and I'm in an airport and, you know, a bunch of people are following me around and filming me. And I'm like, you know, and you get those thoughts in your head where it's like, is this really the life I wanted? And you like start to like be like, you kind of regret your decisions. But then you got to like snap out of it and you're like, okay, like the small subset of time, yeah, it might be brutal, but for the most part, I'm doing dope stuff. Like I'm in the pyramids,
Yeah.
I'm in the Roman Colosseum, I'm doing like beautiful, amazing things, and I get to entertain and help people. And it's like, and you just have to, I think it's very important you're around people who like, if you have a group of people around you who, when you get in those negative thought loops, encourage it and help you spiral, then it's bad. But if you have people
Right.
who are, and which, not everyone in my position has like people who are, willing to tell them how it is, right? Who are just like, bro, grow up. Like, it's fine. This will be done in 20 minutes and then, your life's pretty good. Like, you don't, it's like it's a weird thing. Like you really, cause like I've had some of those conversations with people where I give them the perspective and I can tell like they haven't had that perspective fed to them in a very long time. And you can like see it in their eyes. They'll be like, yeah, you're right. And it's like, yeah, you really need some like better people around you because you feel like you're like spiraling in these like really weird thoughts. But like if you look at it objectively, it's not as bad as you think.
That's the really difficult resource to acquire is being around positive people, powerful people, people that
Exactly.
really get things done, and people that are motivating, and people that are really exciting. That's because so many people half-ass things. So many people do just enough, just barely enough.
Yep.
You're supposed to go all the way. You go 3/4 of the way. You know, so many people just they don't. But if you're around someone who really gets after it and really is enthusiastic and really is powerful and very positive, then it's contagious.
It literally is. It's infectious, and it makes something mundane honestly fun too.
Yeah.
And especially if you respect each other, then it just like it really compounds. And so important. Like even at this stage, like I say, for newer, younger entrepreneurs or people trying to be content creators or friend groups, everything, even at the stage I'm at, it really is because you are like you think, speak, talk, act like the people you're around. And
Yes.
like they say, show me the 5 people you're around the most, I'll show you what your future is. And it applies at every level,
Yeah.
And so you just
My
have to
friend
always be
Brian
conscious.
Simpson has a great saying. He says, you can't be your own boss and be a shitty employee.
Wait, elaborate on that.
So if you work for yourself, if like you're the one who's out there doing it,
yeah.
like so you don't work for anybody, but you also can't be a fucking lazy half-ass employee. He's like, you can't be both things. He goes, if you're gonna be your own boss, you better be a great employee. And I was like, oh shit, like you can't be your own boss and a shitty employee.
Yeah.
Like if you are gonna work for yourself, you got to get some shit done because that's a very rare position to be a person that works for themselves.
Yeah.
Do the thing you actually love to do.
Yeah.
And I think one of the things that's really powerful about this time, as opposed to any other time in history, is that there's so many conversations like this, where you get to hear from a guy like you who is doing that. So people, young people who are listening to this right now,
Yep.
they listen to you like, this fucking Mr. Beast is just getting after it, man. I want to do that. And
Yeah.
instead of like, hanging out with your friend who just gets stoned and plays Call of Duty all day and is always complaining about
Exactly.
everything in his life, but meanwhile he doesn't do anything. You're like, that's not how I want to think and behave. But that guy is. And so you
Exactly.
get examples outside of your own personal social circle because maybe they don't know a Mr. Beast. Maybe they don't know someone who's out there doing whatever they want to do with their life, but they get examples of it online and
Yeah.
they can listen to these people talk and they can get inspired.
Exactly. And if I would assume you have a lot of parents who watch these that, have kids and I would encourage the parents to like the last 3 minutes of what he just said there, like maybe play that for your kids and I can like go on top of it to say because I agree. I don't think enough young people get exposure to this kind of mindset that, it really is time, friend group, iterations on certain thing and consuming all knowledge available. It's those 4 things. Then do those 4 things and like you'll make it further than you can imagine. And like, there's outliers. Like this is what like skews a lot of people's perceptions. They'll find an outlier of like, well, this person became very hyper successful in this thing, but they didn't do those 4 things. And there's outliers everywhere. But if you look at statistically the average, right, the person listening to this,
Right.
you're not going to be this 1 in a million freak outlier. Statistically, if you want to make a good income doing something you're not currently doing and you're not currently very knowledgeable in it or have much experience, it's just those 4 things. Find those people, put in the time, do. But it's
Right.
like if you just listen to every Joe Rogan podcast, you're not going to be a great podcaster. So it's time plus iterations, right? You would have to go do an example of that would be do 500 mock podcasts while also consuming all of Joe Rogan's podcasts, right? So you're doing both while also consuming all knowledge available about podcasts, while also surrounding yourself with other people who want to be podcasts. And then yes, this podcast might have blown up in a year, but statistically that's not going to happen, right? You have to give yourself like the average might be 4 or 5 years. And some people like me take 10 years. And you just have to be so in love with the journey that you're cool with it. You're just like, I'm just going to do it till it works out. And, it could be as soon as this. More than likely it'll be here, but there's a chance it could be there. And if that freaks you out and then scares you, then you probably don't love it enough. But if you're like, well, I'll have fun while I'm doing it, then yeah, do those 4 things over the long horizon. And, again, you're probably won't make $100 million, but if you want to make $100,000 a year or whatever, it's not out of the realm of possibility. And just those sentences alone, for a young person, when they hear it, it opens like a third eye in their mind where they've just been told their whole life, go to college, get a job.
Yeah.
This doesn't even exist to them. You know?
Yeah. Again, it's like you have to be concerned about the process and doing a thing that you love to do and trying to get better at it. And, you know, it's like if you say, let's say you want $1 million. Well, you could win the lottery. You might win the lottery, but the odds are very low. Or you could find a bunch of people that work really hard, and what did they do? Well, they just kept working hard, and they figured out what it is they do, and they made money. Like, dude, that's probably more likely.
Yeah.
So just go in the general direction, and who knows, along the way, you might hit it quick. Something might happen really quick, or you might figure something out, and you might be an outlier. But the point is, the process is available. And the process is available to anybody. You just keep doing something. You'll get better at it. Be objective. Be self-analytical. Like recognize what you're doing wrong and what you're doing right, and get better at it. And constantly try to improve. And just because something doesn't exist as what is your occupation, you know, in a form from 2001 doesn't mean it's not a real job. You know, and just because you can't tell people, you know, if I told people at a cocktail party in 2009 that, I'm a podcaster, like that means zero. You tell them today, they go, oh, amazing.
Yeah.
How long have you been doing that? You know, like it's a job now. Right. So how did it become a job? A job because people figured out how to make it a job, and they did it, and it worked. And so there's a process. So that process exists with virtually anything you want to do that somebody does for a living. I don't care if it's a rock and roll star, stand-up comedian, novelist. There's a thing out there that you want to do that someone is making a living. But meanwhile, there's going to be people who's like, oh, the odds of you making it and that. Like, okay, is that what we're doing?
Yeah.
Are we just fucking playing odds?
But
the odds you're dying are 100%. So
once you adopt this mindset, though, then the naysayers go from being brutal to actually being good, because now the naysayers are what stop other people from doing the thing you're doing, which actually increases your odds, right? So once you get over the hump where, you know, you reach a certain point where, you know, someone, as you're going on the climb, like where someone going, this is stupid, this is unrealistic or whatever, where you just like, it starts to feel like, it goes from like something that makes you nervous and keeps you up at night to like, you don't even really care anymore because you've just heard it so many times. And then it's like, but there are people who hear it and they quit. And so it's technically a benefit for you. So I like to always, not always, but on a lot of things, I like to try to spin it as like a positive too. Like, what this thing that's annoying, well, what's the positive side of it? And the positive is technically it'll make less people do the thing you're doing, which makes it easier for you. But
I guess it does, but I don't ever think that way. I just think if someone can do it, you can do it. And the problem is you have to make sure that you're not spending too much time doing it the wrong way.